ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्तदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूय प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमं यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः। इदं ज्ञानम् उपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागताः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यतन्ति च। मम योनिर्महद्ब्रह्म तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम् सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत। सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तेषां ब्रह्म महद्योनिः अहं बीजप्रदः पिता। सत्वं रजस्तम इति गुणा प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्। तत्र सत्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकमनामयम् सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानघ। रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम्। तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत। सत्वं सुखे संजयति रजः कर्मणि भारत ज्ञानमावृत्य तमः प्रमादे संजयत्युत। We saw that the mind is described here as a connecting link between physical matter and the spirit. Just like a filament in the bulb is the one which connects the bulb structure and the power. The light emanates from the filament, but because of the structure of the bulb, it's able to glow. If you take just the filament and look at it, it would not have as much brightness as it would when you have the structure of the bulb. It is the bulb that makes it more spread out. Sometimes you have the spotlight. The filament is the same. The structure of the bulb, according to that, will be either it is spot or a spread. Electricity is the same, whether it is in a spotlight or in a spread light. Similarly, the consciousness, the self in us is present in all in the same way, and external physical structure of all of us are different. Man, woman, animal, bird, aquatic creatures, worms, insects, they are all of different physical structures. And the consciousness is the same, and expression of consciousness through the particular filament-like mind. The mind is considered as the connecting, as I said. The quality of the mind determines the quality of the person. Whatever be the physical structure of the person, it is the mind that determines the characteristics of the person. If I am an angry person, obviously, even if my physical body is beautiful, I may look beautiful, I may look attractive, but if I'm angry, jealousy, greedy person, it will take only few days for anybody else who's associating with me to know. This person may look good, but you cannot go anywhere near that person. So don't fall for the external structure, go for the filament. Even when you are buying a bulb, what do you look for? How many watts, right? You ask what? How many watt? So the filament is the mind, if you can just compare that. So the mind decides the quality of the personality, and this mind has gathered its quality not only this lifetime. This mind has gathered this quality over many lives. So today making any change would not easily make any change in your personality. Do not think any dramatic and overnight change that will happen. Many times we say, yesterday I heard you, tomorrow I changed. Wait for one more day. You'll go back to your, because it's very difficult to change a personality just because of some hearing this and doing some pranayama. Now, many people do those things and then think that there's something will happen, but until jnanam takes place, jnanat evada kaivalyaha. Only by the knowledge you become free. So here, that is the area, that is the reason why the astrologers could predict the behavior of a person, not because where he is born or how he is born, etc., but what that person is carrying in his or her personality. That is seen in the horoscope. I call it horoscope because it shows, sometimes it shows horrors. One lady went to the astrologer and said, showed the husband's horoscope and said, tell me. And the fellow looked at him and said, yeah. Oh. So he's born here in this particular family at this time. These are the things. So she asked, tell me about his past. Not many people look for the details about the past. They all look for what is going to happen in future. Right? So she asked, tell me about his past. He asked, you don't want to know about his future? That I will decide. But either past or present or future, it is not decided by somebody. It is decided by the karmas which we have carried on, unless we are ready to focus on systematically changing the behavioral pattern of our mind by doing the spiritual sadhana. So broadly speaking, Krishna has given the nature of the personalities into three: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. We saw that. So in Sattva is the nature of Sattva is Prakashakam Anamayam. It's of the nature of brilliance, meaning knowledge. And Anamayam, meaning it does not have negativities. Amaya means impurities or disease or sickness. So Anamayam means that which does not easily fall prey to negativities. That's what it means. And what is the nature of Sattva? Sukhe Sanjayati. It also engages in Sukham. And that's what is going to be seen here. But it has a pursuit of happiness and knowledge. In fact, in our constitution, yesterday and the other day, Kiran was saying, in our constitution, it is there. In US constitution, everybody has the right to pursue happiness. That is Sattva. So Sattva is of the nature of pursuit of happiness and knowledge. But again, as last week we saw, that joy or happiness is not out of objects. That is the nature of Sattva. In all the three, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, one thing is common: seeking happiness. But the happiness out of, when a person has a sattvic mind, the happiness is not out of any object. It is born out of understanding. So when you know something, you feel the satisfaction, contentment. Oh, I know. There is a sense of fulfillment, joy. That happiness is what we are talking about. Whereas Rajas is of the nature of passion. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi, Trishna sanga, not Krishna, Trishna sanga samudbhavam. Trishna means extreme thirst for satisfying the senses, indulgence. So therefore, the person who is predominantly Rajasic is a person of action. And also, such a person will seek the happiness out of objects that he possesses. Objects of pleasure or status, respect. Such a person wants constantly be noticed. You did this great. You did this great. You did this great. If nobody notices, he'll get very agitated. It happens when our Raisely platform, when we are doing the crowdfunding, somebody doesn't get the correct, credit. Recognition. Respect, recognition, name, fame, all these things. So he takes or he seeks the joy out of outside himself. Whether it's an objective pleasure or a name and fame, respect, to be noticed. And therefore, there is a lot of pride and ego, demand. Tamas, on the other hand, so Swamiji, if it is Sattva is about knowledge, Rajas is about objects of pleasure, object of interest. What about Tamas? Oh. Ajnanajam viddhi, born out of ignorance, and great joy he gets by doing nothing. Just lazy. Any job you kal karenge. Aaj nahi kal. Don't say aaj nahi to kal. Of course, kal also kal karenge. So there is always a Kolkata. Kal karta hun. So nothing to do with Calcutta. Though that was the state of, I lived there, so I know. Anything you say, kal. Nothing today. So laziness, inadvertence, sleepiness, unproductiveness, in that person is happy. Laziness. So as I said in the last session, that is the Vibhishna representing the sattvic nature, Ravana representing the Rajasic nature, and Kumbhakarna in Tamasic. Beautifully portrayed there. So here in this verse, verse number 9, Sukham Sattvam Sukhe Sanjayati. Essentially, Sattva is associated with Sukham. Let me explain the word Sukham. I have done before also. Sukham, that's a Sanskrit word, Sukham. Opposite of that is Dukham. Kam means space. In Sanskrit, Kam means space. Let us say in this room, there are, say, so 50 people can sit. If there are 150 people, what will you think that place will be? Dukham. Because nobody can sit. Everybody is sitting next to each other. It is like this, no? The airports nowadays. Before you board, you have to stay 6 feet away from each other. Once you are inside, you are only 6, so not even 6 inches from each other. So overcrowded. So a place which is overcrowded, it is Dukham, like a Bombay local train. Whether you want to get out or not, you will get out. And you have to find your way inside again. So that space which is so congested and totally filled with crowd is Dukham. When there is enough space, you can stretch yourself. Swamiji, when I came from India this time, in my next to the truth, nobody was there. I just slept like this. Sukham. If it is true with the physical body, when it is filled with so many other things around you, we feel very congested or very, what do you call that? What phobia is that? Claustrophobic. Whereas you have enough space outside you, you feel so relaxed. That's why when we see a land which is vast, with the greenery and then a lot of openness, you feel that your mind has just opened up. You go to our temples, ancient temples. Nowadays, these temples are like this, the ceiling is like this. But if you go to our ancient, first thing you notice is the vastness. The ceiling is so high. And the broad, pillars, with the large halls, and you feel that, and you will speak also, it won't be heard, it will be echoing. You feel that you are in a place where you're free. So just like external space creates a feeling of relaxed mood, in the same way, mind congested with too many thoughts is Dukham. And the mind having few thoughts or almost no thought is Sukham. That's why when we go to sleep, when we are in the state of sleep where all the thoughts have subsided, there is no more agitation in the mind, all the worries and anxieties are postponed to next day. Why you are feeling so blissful and joyful? Hardly any thought. And after that, that also subsides. When you wake up, oh, what happened? Sukham. Mind is free of all thoughts for some time. So understand, therefore, Sattva is intending to reduce thoughts. But because it is pursuing knowledge, here we have to understand the relative knowledge. When I do not know a thing, the mind is disturbed. When I know a thing, mind is to that extent quiet. If I don't know a person or misunderstand a person, there is a thought agitation. When I know the person or I know that person knows me, then there is mind peaceful. Because I know that that person knows me. I know that that person doesn't misunderstand me. Especially when it happens to the lovebirds. You know me, I know you, until we get married. So mind becomes quiet and calm when the knowledge is done. I know a thing, I have no more misunderstanding or apprehensions about it, then the mind is quiet. So Sukhavi Sanjayadi, when it is said, it is jnanam that makes your mind relatively quiet. And also absence of negativities, as I said, anamayam. Since there is absence of negativities or like anger, lust, etc., the mind is relatively peaceful and it can remain and give peace also, such a mind. Whereas Rajas, karmani bharata sanjayati. all the time because of Trishna Sanga Samadvam. It is content, thirsty, like a thirsty person, how he constantly looks for food or water. Similarly, a person filled with passion and greediness constantly engaged in action. That's a karmani sanjayati. Rajas, when it is there is constant activity, association with action. And interestingly, such a person can only associate with people of action. If a person is too rajasic and you go and ask him to sit in the satsang, you will be going on. The talk will be going on, but the attention will be somewhere else. I took 2 engineers with me, the civil engineers, to a place to Swami Guruji's talk. So 1 hour talk. And after that, I asked them, how was the talk? AC was not working. So where is your attention now? Tell me. AC not working is that attention that is going on there. So that is karma. You know, what we, every time, any time, it is about do. So we are not human beings, we are human doings. Constantly doing. But what about tamas? Jnanam avrityatu tamaha. Pramade sanjayati. What happens is when tamas is there, even if a person is a learned person, a person of knowledge, whatever be, at the time when the tamas is present in our mind, obviously we do not comprehend anything, we do not pursue anything, we do not try to learn anything, know anything. That's what happens when sleep comes. Mind slowly says, no, let me relax now. I don't want to learn or hear anything. That's especially when you have Mahasamadhi camps. After breakfast session, you should see that. The whoever is going to talk after this breakfast session is cursed person. I never take it. I take only meditation class. When it's early morning, even no food in the body. That's the correct time to listen. Moment food goes inside, if you start the class, everybody will agree to everything that you say. Yes, you are right. Nodding for everything that you say. Always saluting you. Because when the body, food is put in your body, first thing what it does is all the body, most of the blood that is there, I don't know, the doctors can say whatever I am saying, vouch for that. Blood goes to engage in digesting the food, especially sugar, first. Obviously, the brain that needs the enough blood for it to engage in the understanding, that requires a processing, right? That doesn't happen. Here the processing is below, here the stomach, not there. So, jnanam avritya. Avritya means covering the knowledge. Pramade. Pramade means, one meaning of mada means to mada, pramada. If you put in the Sanskrit word, English word, prakarshena, mad. Mad here does not mean crazy, but inattentiveness, erroneousness, absence of attention, absence of focus. So when, in this part of the country, the problem is, the teachers don't insist that the students must behave in a particular manner in the classrooms also. They have a Coke in front of them while listening to the lecture. I was giving a lecture in some college in Florida. They were cutting the nail and polishing. You listen to me? All sort of things, whatever they need to do in the bathroom or restroom, doing all that. They allow it. I don't know this girl, but she will be able to tell me about that. Do they do that, right? That's it. So when the attention is, but interesting thing is, if you ask question, they will answer.
Yeah.
I don't know how they keep the ears on that side and the hand somewhere else. Maybe it's a selective listening, whatever, I don't know. And when we are growing up, we were not saying there'll be a scale when a big rod will come and a wooden rod will come on our body. So when tamas is predominant, it makes you associate with inattentiveness. Now, interesting thing is, it is not that it is not a watertight compartment that one is only sattvic, only rajasic, only tamasic. Because rajasic and tamasic both are sick. Rajasic, tamasic. So, not that they are so tight that one cannot allow the other. No. One can be sattvic and slowly there can be rajas come in and also get into tamas and then come back. So constant movement takes place. It depends upon various factors. What you eat. Later on, the Gita talks about what you eat, whom do you deal with, what books you read. Various things are there. Even the weather. Now, if you go to Seattle, always the same weather. This kind of. That's why Starbucks is making money there. You need to externally, instigate yourself. So therefore, it is not that one mood is there, it doesn't allow the other. There will be constant movement of this. That's why we find sometimes very sattvic or very highly, alert, etc. But at some point of time, we feel so dull, so worn out, or sometimes we feel restless. So Krishna is saying, Bhagavan Krishna here saying, let us understand the human personality. And as I said, it is not the physical body that is sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. It is not the consciousness which is sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. In between that one connecting link, mind, that is going through all this. So continuing here, next verse number 12, he says, verse number 11, right? 10. Radhasamascha vibhuya Sattvam bhavati bharata Rajas sattvam tamaschaiva Tamas sattvam rajas tata Rajas tamaschapi bhuya Sattvam bhavati bharata Rajas sattvam tamaschaiva Tamas sattvam rajas tata. Abhibhuya means overpowering. Rajas tamaha cha abhibhuya, having overpowered by, Rajaha tamaha sattvam bhavati bharata. Which is the one now overpowering what? Rajas and tamas are overpowered and sattva predominates. Or rajas can predominate sattvam. Rajaha sattvam abhibhuya or tamaha sattvam abhibhuya. Meaning, abhibhuya here means, as I said, overpowering, which means the thought of agitation or thought of greed, thought of action can come while you are in sattvic condition also. Or when you are very active doing so many things, but then you decided sit down quietly for doing some japa or prayer, then you can bring in sattva overpowering rajas or tamas. As I said, they are not watertight compartments. One can overtake the other. Gurudev used to say, even the most intelligent, most advanced seeker or a scientist or anybody can also sleep. When sleep takes over, Einstein is no more Einstein. Newton is no more Newton. Gandhi is no more Gandhi. Why? Slept. So Gandhitva of that Gandhi is gone. That person who may be pure, noble, etc. But when it comes to sleeping, then all that personality individual is completely merged, disappeared. So there is the possibility of overpowering each one of them. Now the thing is, whether it should happen by its own or you can make it happen. So inducing sattva or bringing in sattva when you detect rajas and tamas is called sadhana. Sadhana is, the spiritual life is where you detect the rajas and tamas. The idea of thinking about all these things is for us to examine our own mind. Don't say that person, Swamiji, you don't know. That person is too rajasic. What's your problem? By detecting the other person's rajas, you are becoming rajas. So it is not for us to judge anybody around us. We start observing our mind and find out which are all the occasions or reasons why my mind is behaving this way. What food I ate, or what kind of people whom I talked to, or where I went, or what I saw causing this. And you will find that certain things or certain people or certain kind of food or certain kind of association with people or certain movies or something you watch, so that or read, that influences the sleeping rajas in you or sleeping tamas in you. At the same time, when you listen to a satsang, when you listen to a bhajan, or go to a temple, or do a japa, or do a prayer, you will find that that influences sattva to start. So when I see, no doubt that every one of us have to take some rest during the time when it is time to rest in the night. But if it happens at 10 o'clock in the morning, then there is a problem. Is it not true? That means body clock is not correctly working. Body is seeking rest at 10 o'clock means you did not sleep in the previous night. That's very clear. Watching Netflix till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock then. Then obviously the body says, now I want to rest. So when at 10 o'clock in the morning, no, Swamiji, weather is like that. What can we do? And then we go for a coffee. Try external substances to induce that. But drinking coffee at 10 o'clock does not increase sattva. It only increases rajas. That, what do you call that? Caffeine there in that thing does not increase sattva. Swamiji, sometimes rajas, sattva and tamas look alike, And mind is calm. But you do not know when you go to sleep. When mind is calm, but you slip into tamas and you think it is sattva. I think I was in samadhi. Samadhi. I was in deep meditation. You don't even know that you're sitting or falling down. And then you think it is samadhi. So we have the choice of increasing sattva whenever we notice there is an increased influence of rajas and tamas, or when you are dealing with certain people who are creating rajas and tamas, you detect it. Don't blame them. Walk away. If you want to escape from that situation, escape means here does not out of fear, but out of understanding that this association does not create proper mood in my mind, it only agitates. I had one of my, one of the co-student when I was studying in Sandipani. He's from France. Bruno is his name. And Bruno, They call Bruno. And the R they don't pronounce properly. So he was so fond of this subject of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. After some time, he becomes so addicted to this. When somebody comes, no, he's Rajasic. Or when you're sitting for food, he will ask me, can I take this? Yeah, I think it is causing tamas to my mind. Everything, you will completely, he was so overwhelmed by that very idea. I think he got to it. So when he got his Diksha, Brahmachari Diksha, Gunatita Brahmachari, Gunatita Chaitanya, I don't know whether it's still there, but his name was Gunatita Chaitanya. Because, we always give the name that would suit the personality. You don't get stuck to that, go beyond that. So here, when we detect our mind's behavior in a particular manner, we know which category it is now operating from, and we have the choice of changing its nature. Which is not the case with animals who do not have this discriminative power. You take a dog or a cat or a buffalo or a bird, they don't have a choice to change their moods. And they just go by whatever the mind dictates them, behave in the way they have. They will never change. They can be trained, but they cannot be made mature. A dog can be trained to do certain things, but it doesn't do because it made a choice of doing it. Training is different from evolving, right? You can train an animal like a dog to do certain things, but it is not doing out of choice. Whereas we as human beings, because of the ability to think and observe and understand and see the right and wrong about it, and then decide to do one thing. This decision is not out of mere training. That is the reason why many of the so-called spiritual sadhus, they keep training you. In the process, they are only draining you. Without teaching, when you try to train, you will be able to behave in a particular time only, but not always. Oh, I'm doing this some kriya. No anger, Swamiji. When? Only at that time. When you come out of it, Rudra avatar you are. Why? Because there's no understanding. And a particular condition, you may do it afterwards. So evolvement requires knowledge. You understand and come out of it. So when we understand the nature of our mind and its behavior and understand that also that I need to come out of it consciously, then you look for things that can increase your sattva. The food, the association, the kind of engagement, the behavior, the habits, everything will slowly change to accommodate more and more sattva in the personality. Continuing in the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna says, what is the indicators of sattva, rajas and tamas? How do we know? Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yata tata vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yata tada vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta. Yada, when vivruddham sattvam, when the sattva has increased, asmin dehe sarvadvareshu, in this body, from all apertures, all senses, prakasha upajayate, there is brilliance. Prakasha here means not light. Prakasha is brilliance. Akasha word, there also the word as kasha at the behind and a as a prefix. Correct? A kasha. Pra kasha. Kasha is the same. So do you think the space is bright, light? No, expanded. See, Akash, when you say, it is not, even in the night, there is Akash. Is there no Akash in the night? Yeah, it is there. So, but that is not lighted up at that time. So, Kasha, the word, that from there only Kashi word came. Kashi word is to say the expanded nature of thing, and that expansion creates a certain amount of openness. What prakasha it does when you are, then when an object is there, when you put the light, you come to know about it. Right? You coming to know is because of the light. So the word kasha, kashyate iti kashi, that which is remaining brilliant. Usually we associate brilliance with light. No doubt that is natural. So a person who is brilliant, he will look bright. Oh, he's a bright boy. I don't see any light on him. The brilliance does not mean there should be light. But if you take a gold or a jewelry and then when the light falls, it brilliantly shines. So the brilliance is not because of the light. Brilliance is inherent in that. So prakasha means brilliance, not necessarily light. So asmin dehe, in this physical body, sarvadwareshu, from all the various apertures. Apertures means here dwara should be understood as the point of reception. In the sense, is it not through the eyes we receive the forms? Input zones. We through the eyes we receive the input of sound, I mean of the forms. Through the ears we input the sound. Through the nose the smell. Through the tongue the taste. Through the entire skin the touch. So wherever knowledge is brought in, they are called dwaras. Dwara means the, like your room is there. When there is a window, it's a dwara. Through which what happens? Light comes, air comes. So when you are in Rishikesh and you are going towards Badrinath, the point of entry is Haridwar. When you are in Rishikesh, or in not Rishikesh, so before Rishikesh, so from let's say Dehradun you're going towards Rishikesh. From through Rishikesh you are going to Badrinath, let us say. So from Dehradun you move to in the intent of going to Badrinath, then it becomes Haridwar. Hari ka dwar, door to Hari, Shiva Vishnu. So if you are intending to go to Kedarnath, same. From Dehradun you proceed to reach Hara, then Haradwar. Now there was a big fight between Vaishnavites and Shaivites, whether it is Haradwar or Haridwar. This is a peculiar kind of fighting. The British was there at the time ruling. It should be called Haridwar. No, it should be called Haradwar because it's going to Kedarnath. Fight. So then finally the British government said, don't fight. Name is Hardwar. Harka Dwar hai. Whether you go this way or that way, Sabka Dwar hai. Hardwar. Now they are putting in their board hardware. So Dwara means an entry point. So we through our body, there are certain entry points. These entry points become alert. When sattva is yada sattvam vibruddham tada sada sattvam jnanam. Yada jnanam vibruddham iti vidyat. When sattva is present, jnanam becomes of the higher nature, and what it expresses it as? It expresses it as brilliance through the senses. As Gurudev said, when through every gate in this body, the light of intelligence shines, then say be known as Sattva is predominant. To such a person whose Sattva is predominant, anything you say only once, that is sufficient. He'll catch it. Because his attention is very, very focused. Because his mind is not distracted by any desire, pride, anger, lust, passion, greed, ego, or laziness, inadvertence, sleepiness. Obviously, the mind without all these things must be extremely alert. You just say once, you'll catch it. Our case, 25 times you say the same thing. I heard. What did I say? You said something. What did I say? Oh, you also forgot. So where is your mind? Never mind. Because never the mind is in what to do. Not listening at all. So that's what Gurudev would say, there is a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing takes place in the ears. Listening takes place in the mind. Seeing and looking, isn't it? You see everything. But when somebody, look there. What do you mean by different? You don't say, see. No, look. Look means pay attention. He would say that when behind the ear, when there is a mind, you listen. When behind the ear there is no mind, you hear. Behind the eyes when there is mind, you look. Behind the eyes there is no mind, you just see. Oh, I saw, but I didn't look it carefully. That's what it means. So when the mind has no distractions due to the rajas or tamas, when sattva is high, what is the indicator? That all the sense organs are at the peak productive or peak alert mode. That is why it is said early morning when you have finished your day, peaceful sleep, and the mind is ready to listen. At that time, when you gain or you read or when you do prayer, etc., it is more effective than during the day when the mind has already agitated, disturbed, so many things, and in between you try to do something. It won't work as much as it would work efficaciously in the morning. Sarvadwareshu dehesmin prakasho upajayate jnanam yata tada vidyat vivruddham sattvam, increased sattva. So now, as I said, associating with people who have high sattva will tell us how to emulate those qualities. When we are in the company of people who are drunkard, do you think that sattva will take place then? You become otherwise spiritual. In a bottle spirituality, you will get that only. But when we are in the company of people who are speaking or deliberating upon the higher nature of oneself or knowledge, you come out with a certain amount of additional information which you do not know before. When you are able to associate with the men of knowledge, you feel yourself elevated, matured a little bit more. You are with the people who are talking about politics and economics and disturbance and all the tragedies that are taking place. You feel so low coming out of it. I feel so bad. Why am I alive? So therefore, sattva is predominant, is known through the alertness of the senses. Continuing here, lopa pravrittirarambah karmanam ashamaspruha rajasyetani jayante vivruddhe bharatarshava lobha pravrittirarambah Karmanam rajasyetani jayante vivruddham vivruddhe bharatarshava. Vivruddhe rajasi. Rajasi vivruddhe. In the increased intensity of rajas. What is that indicator there? Lobha, pravrittihi, arambha, karmanam, ashamaha, spruha. These are all the indicators. Lobha. Lobha, I don't need to explain. More. Anything you want, more. I want more. You know, many of these kids know the smaller ones. You give them a plate full of, I want more. You give more. I look at the other fellow. He got more. But he is older than you, he eats more. I want more. That fellow takes more, he'll take only 1/4 and then I'm full. And totally wasted. So Lobha is wanting more. Guruji used to say, Swami Vijayamaji, there are 3 kinds of governments in this world: communists, capitalists, Moorists. Moorist government is the most worst. Because always looking for what all I can get from the entire world. I pick it from here also, pick it from here also. Free. Not paying money. Go on increasing your loan and get more and more. That's why most people in this country are lonely. Not L-O-N-E-L-Y, L-O-A-N-L-Y. Because they keep on taking and taking and taking. When are they going to pay back? Sometime government will lose interest in me. They'll give up. I'm not paying. Living only by borrowed money. If the entire country is like that, what can you do? In fact, it is said that the United States have borrowed so much money so far. It's like 100 years for it to pay back, really speaking. Yeah. I don't know eventually how many zeros are there. It cannot. And not only from other countries, from the people only they have taken also. I mean, the countries, people only they have taken. From outside also. Then when will you pay back? Who is interested in paying back anyways? Moorist government. So this is called Lobha. And when does Lobha actually starts? You see, Labhat Lobha. Shankaracharya, very beautiful. Labhat Lobha. Meaning, when you know that you can get, when you start gaining or getting, you don't stop there. Labha has come. Why not more? There are 3 kinds of organizations in this world. Profit making, not for profit, non-profit, what called non-profit. And there's one more organization called non-profit. Non-profit. They are the atheists. So profit making, they don't stop. Their whole intent is to profit, right? So they engage in, if they get this much of sale, they say next time, into 2 next year, double it. When you do that into 2, every time it is go on increasing only. And if it is going back to the community for their development, then it is understandable. It never goes back to the world. That's why they made in many of the governments, now they made it a rule, CSR. Corporate social responsibility. You have to give it back. In your budget, you must have X percentage of your profit must be shared. Because they are otherwise not doing it. Take it from all the resources from the world, but never give it back. Corporate social responsibility, CSR. It's become a mandatory thing for most of the profit-making organizations. So here, Lobha means constant seeking and greed, and because of which there is pravritti, extrovertedness. Nivritti is withdrawal. Pravritti means extraordinary amount of engagement. Mind is always extrovert. And therefore, mind is not available for any kind of quiet contemplation or meditation, because all the time it is looking for what to do, what next, what next, what next. Such people, when they sit for meditation, they'll ask, Swamiji, I'm sitting for meditation. Yes. What next? Sit. Quietly sit. That's what you have to do. Okay. Then close your eyes. then. The kids also you will see. Most of these Balviyar kids, what you know, they read much before the teacher. They know everything. And so when you start telling the story, you may miss one character. That one you didn't say. The teacher wonders why are they giving books to the children first? They read before them. Then, because they expect you to move further, then I know this. Then, so that is pravritti. Never keep quiet, keep engaging in this world constantly into activities. Then arambha. While pravritti is extroverted engagement, arambha means starting something all the time. Arambha means to start. But every time they think that I need to start this, I need to start this. Whether they end it or not, that's a different thing, but they need to start it. Start. Undertaking too many things which you may not accomplish also, but you want to show to the people, I did this, I started that. The word undertaking is also very interesting. There are in India, there are a lot of places where you'll see Government of India undertaking. What it means is table is there. When you go to them, they will say, give some money on the top, others are under that. This is called undertaking. White is on the top, black is below. Anyway, so undertaking here means starting new projects, and without any particular focus or anything, just because restlessness. That is why karmanam ashamaha. Karmanam arambaha ashamaha. Ashama means restlessness. Shamaha. Shama means quiet, peaceful. Ashama. There is restlessness, agitation. Such people, as I said, that when they sit for meditation, nothing is happening. Nothing will happen. Sit down. Light? What light? I was told that some light will come. Gurudev used to say, one person was sitting in meditation, and Guruji said, come on, sit for meditation. And then half an hour you should not come out. Okay, sit there. All right. And then after some time he opened the door. He came out. So what happened? I heard some sound. You don't focus on the sound. What else? I saw green, yellow, red lights. He said, you have been traveling too much. You see green light, red light, orange light, green light. So the mind is looking for something all the time. So ashamaha, restlessness, it cannot remain quiet. Spruha. Spruha means intense desire for things. Insatiable desire. Spruha. So these are all the indicators of rajas. Lobha, greed. Pravritti, extrovertedness. Karmanam arambha, constantly engaging in action, starting new things. Ashamaha, restlessness. Spruha, intense desire. These rajasi pravritte vivritte jayante etani. These things will start manifesting when rajas is And he calls Arjuna as Rishabha. See, this is very interesting. A bull. Because bull is a representative of our action. A bull among the brother Bharata, one who is very active and also constantly engaging in action. Not only that, not restful, not quiet. Bharata Rishabha. Oh, bull, oh, best among them. Rishabha also means best, but bull among the Bharatas. So it is, again, as I said, it is for us to observe ourselves when our moods are of this kind. We know that Rajas has started. When the mind is alert, vigilant, quiet, keen, focused, and then, Sattva is there. What about Tamas, Swamiji? Yes, we know that. This is not very new to us. We exactly know, and many times, or most of the time, I'm in that mode only. What? Tamas. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivruddhe kuru nandana aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivruddhe kuru nandana. Talking about tamas, what did he call him as? Delight of the Kurus. Kauravas. They are so tamasic. Now you see, your Kurunandana. So as Prakasha is the nature of Sattva, opposite of that is Aprakasha. Dull. Not anything serious. When even the sensory perceptions are there is no ability of the mind to correctly process it. It's not that there is a defective eyes or ears or nose, etc. But mind is not processing it correctly. So sometimes we see it, but the mind is preoccupied. It will not alertly understanding what is seen by the eyes or the ears or the nose. Aprakasha. Absence of alertness due to a lack of knowledge also. Or knowledge may be there, but not available. That is why, in India, when people go before the exam, why that? Whatever is read, studied, it all come down. Special prayers to Ganesha. What is that special care? Please make the examiner ask only those questions which I studied. Or even if he asks, please make me remember what, the answer to that. When you sit for the questions in the exam, today's history, right? Why are they asking our geography questions? Don't even understand the question itself. It's covered in our syllabus. Everybody is seriously writing. What are you writing? No idea about what is given there. So all that is studied, not remembering. That is called Aprakash. Not that one has not studied, but not available. Yeah, Swamiji, correct. It is said in the 19th chapter of Gita, right? Where do you get that from? Aprakash. Apravritti. Pravritti is the nature of Rajas. It is apravritti, in action. To get him out of the bed is the most difficult thing. Apravritti. No engagement in this world. Oh, it may look like, so he's a disinterested. There is a difference between dispassionate and lazy. Dispassionate means absence of desire, therefore he is not interested in doing things. Lazy means what? I want it, but I won't do it. You do it and give it to me. That is called apravritti. Pramada, as I said earlier also, pramada is where an individual is inattentive. Heedlessness, as Gurudev puts it here. These are all seen, and also delusion. Delusion is mixed up or messed up priorities. Not clear about, not having the clarity in thinking, that is delusion. Allowing so many other thoughts to come in while I am seriously pursuing something. Mind is deluded. Moha. So, aprakashaha, absence of alertness. Apravrittihi, absence of action. Inertness. Then, aprakasha, darkness he puts, but that darkness here does not mean that everything is dark, but darkness here means no light of knowledge. Pramadaha, heedlessness. Moha, delusion. These are all tamasi vivruddhe, when tamas is predominant. Etani jayante, these are all seen to manifest. Kurunandana, as I said, referring him as, a delight of the Kuru dynasty. Now, interestingly, this topic which we are taking up in this chapter is to analyze the mind, but what Vedanta says is, you are not the mind. Swamiji, then why are we worried about all this? If I am not the mind, why should I bother about what the mind does? Let it be in sattva, it will be in rajas, it will be in tamas. What does it matter? See, without the mind, we cannot be transacting in the world. If we are dealing with the people or the things in the world, we need the mind. That's the tool we have. No doubt, in the seat of deep contemplation or meditation, you can reject the mind or ignore the mind. But while working in this world, dealing with people and situations, you cannot say, I'm not thinking, I don't want to think. Whether you want to think or not, prarabdha karma will engage you in action. At that time, how do you use the mind? You cannot escape from the karmas that you have already done, and the effect has already been started. New action you may not do. What about the result of past action? Whatever you have done in this life or the previous life will come to you, for which only you have taken birth. From that you cannot escape. But when that comes into action, you have to respond. To respond, you need that mind. And at that time, what do? Run. So one cannot say, I am not interested in, I'm not going to pursue whatever thought that comes to my mind, and I'm not even bothered about my mind. You cannot do that. Otherwise, Gurudev used to say, if that is the case, lie down. Poor people will carry you. You're fit to be buried now. You have to respond to the world. So, knowing the nature of our mind, how it behaves, helps us to take up whatever the right way of handling it, with the right mood in our mind, with the right kind of set of thoughts in our mind, we should respond. That is the reason why it is important for us to understand. See, this is not found in the Buddhist literature. Why it is so? Because they deny. The world itself is denied. Mind is denied. And when they just keep on saying that nothing is there, it's all emptiness, it's not nihilism, it's not emptiness. Such people are seen to be only living in seclusion. And when you live in seclusion, you have to suffer all the consequences of that also. Those who have traveled in the areas of Tibet, you'll know. There's nothing. No productivity, no electricity, no cultivation, no community. You'll see only yak and goats, more than human. Because there is nothing that you engage in. There is no governance. There is no army, or there is no productivity, there is no business, there is no nothing. But Hinduism is not about living in seclusion, doing nothing and sit for in one corner for meditation. That is not the, a community or a society has to live with the varieties of different engagements. There are people, soldiers, there are businessmen, there are laborers, there are pandits or those who are teaching the knowledge, etc. So the variety is there. But how do you make sure that all of them engage in their activities for a noble cause, a purposeful existence? You cannot say that I am not interested and walk away. Then who will cultivate the food for you? How will you survive? All different activities are necessary in a society, but the motive, the purpose, the focus should be for common good. That is sattvic. Aggrandizing from other fellow, cheat other fellow and take maximum out of him and survive. Rajas. Let others work. I will open my mouth 3 times a day. That is tamas. So one cannot say that I am a spiritual person. I don't care about my mind. That's not right. So we'll see more of this in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkhabhat Bhaved. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.